Hi everybody and welcome to Cap at Home. My name is Miss Allie and today we're going to be making Koinobori mini, and these are Japanese flying fish, which is usually a flag, but we're going to make a mini version today. And the materials we are going to need are a paper roll, a glue stick or tape, a marker, some string, yarn, or anything like that will work, a hole punch, and you can also use a tack if you don't have a hole punch, and some scissors, and a few different colored pieces of paper. Alright, let's get started. So, a Koinobori fish is a traditional Japanese carp fish, which actually symbolizes courage and strength. And these typical fish are actually flags, and they're put up around the end of April and all through May to celebrate Children's Day. And the idea is when you see them and they're flying in the air, they're actually a symbol of sending your children off as like good-spirited and courageous kids. So we're going to make some today. They're going to be colorful, and then you can put them out in your yard and to celebrate the Children's Day of your own. So the first thing that we're going to do is take our colored paper, and I like to stack it up neat, and even if they're not all the same size, that's okay. So I'm going to take my colored paper, and I'm going to fold it like I was going to fold it in thirds, so this area, and I'm going to open it up and cut along this folded line. And I do this while they're stacked, so that way I have an even and same amount of each colored paper. Alright, so I have my strips. I'm going to set the bigger parts aside. And these we're actually going to use to make circles, to cut out circles for our fish scales. So I'm actually going to cut this into some sections like this, because it's easier to cut circles and have them the same size when you can stack them on top of each other. You can just cut circles if that's easier for you. You can also trace circles. You could trace a quarter if you wanted, or if you wanted to trace the bottom of your toilet paper roll, that would also work too. Whatever you feel the most comfortable with. And I'm just going to cut some stacks. And then now that I have my couple stacks of paper, I'm actually just going to cut out some circles. And they can be kind of oval shaped. Some of them can be big, some of them can be small. It's totally up to you, and they don't have to be perfect. Mine aren't. And I'm going to put my scraps aside. And I like to cut more than one at a time, because this way, again, they're all the same shape, size, and it's faster. So I have my oval circle type thing. Again, putting my scraps aside. I have a few more. I'm just going to go ahead and stack up. I'm just cutting oval circle shapes. So again, scraps over here. Now I have all these shapes. And so now what we want to do is we want to actually cut these in half. And these are going to make the scale sort of shapes that go on our fish. So I'm just going to hold them up, and I'm just going to cut them right in half. If you want to draw the line and then cut it, that's fine too. Anything that makes you comfortable. I just go ahead and cut them again, because they don't have to be perfect. And again, like I said, they can be different sizes. So I have my half shapes here. So I have a big pile of them. And I made mine all relatively the same size, but if you make them different sizes, you can start with the big ones and go to the small ones. So what we want to do is take our paper roll, and we're going to take our glue stick or tape, and we're going to actually start gluing the scales on our fish. So this part takes a little bit of time, but that's okay. So we're going to glue our glue stick down on the top rim. And I'm going all the way around, make sure it's really glued. And again, you can do this with tape if you want. You can tape all of your pieces down. And I'm going to start with one of my shapes, and I'm going to glue it on the top, so that the circular part is sticking up, okay? And so I'm going to alternate shapes or colors. So I'm going to start with orange, and then maybe I'll go to this purple pink color. And I'm overlapping them on the side. So at this point, by the time you're done, you don't see any of the paper roll. You just see the fun color paper. So I do this. And again, the top part up here, the curved part of your paper sticks up. And so you gotta glue it down really good. Sometimes it helps to pinch your fingers on the inside all the way around. And again, I'm gonna glue it so they overlap a little bit. And then you just keep going. So now I've completed about one row. So I'm going to start another row right under it. Again, it's still overlapping the paper. I'm going to use my glue stick or tape to attach it, make it really glued down there. And I'm still using my alternating colors. And I'm just overlapping like this. So then I start a new row. And you're going to do this so it fills up your entire roll, your entire fish. And again, like I said, this may take a little bit of time, but that's okay. And I like to do it when I'm alternating colors to sort of make sure that it's in between the two lines of the paper above it, so it kind of creates a cool pattern. And again, you're going to have to really stick it down there. And again, I'm just going to keep layering, doing this. All right. Okay, so I've got about 2 rows down. Now I'm gonna jump ahead to when you get down to the bottom, because like I said, this part takes a little bit of time, and so I want you guys to all take your time doing this. But for the sake of time on this video, I'm gonna jump ahead to my already completed one and show you what we do next. So if you have any extra scraps or any extra you have your little parts of your fish, you can just put those aside in your you just put those aside. And when you get to the very edge of your fish, you want to make sure that the flat line of your circles line up with the edge of your paper roll. So that way only one side sticks off, so you know that this is the tail part and this is like the head where the eye's going to go. So when you get to this point, you're going to take a little piece of white paper. I use scrap paper, and I'm actually going to keep it folded in half. And I'm going to cut out two circles. So if I keep it folded in half, I just have to cut one circle. And it can be, these are going to be for the eyes, so it can be any size that you want. I usually make it smaller than my circles that I cut at first. So I have 2 circles now. And what I'm going to do is take my marker and I'm going to draw some eyes. So these are your fish eyes. Okay, so they can look however you want, but these are how I draw my fish eyes. Okay, and so what we're going to do is glue them on our the body of our fish. So we want to glue down, take our glue stick, and again, if you're using tape, that's fine too. Take your glue stick, glue one eye, and again, we're gluing towards the top of our fish. So where the paper sticks off of the roll, that's our tail, so we want to glue on the other end. And so I'm just going to stick it down towards the top. And I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to try and make it on the other side. So sometimes I like to hold it like this to see if I can get the eyes kind of even. If you look at it, you could be able to kind of see the eyes on both sides. So that's what I'm going to try and do, try and make them even. All right. So we have 2 eyes on our fish. All right, so this is towards the top again, and I'm going to make sure they're really good on there. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is make the fun part, the flying part of our fish, and that's our tail. So that's all these fun little streamer-like things. So that's when we can set this aside for a second. And I want to take our extra paper that we have, and we're going to cut some strips. I'd say about 7 to 10 strips. So again, I like to keep my paper on top of each other, so when I cut, they're about the same size. And I usually try to make some of them thin and some of them thick. These are kind of like the streamer part of your flying fish. So you can make some thick, some thin. You can even make some funky shapes with them if you'd like. So I'd say about 7 to 10 strips usually fills up the bottom. I'm just going to finish cutting these. Alright, so I can have this paper, which is still good to use. I'm going to set this aside because I'm going to keep that with my other scrap paper that I could still use later for a different project. So I have all these strips, and if you saw in my example, you can see that some of them are straight and some of them kind of have this accordion zigzag. So what we're going to do is you can take a few of them and you can zigzag or accordion fold them. So that's when you fold down, flip it over, fold again. And so this creates that kind of fun pattern. So I like to do this for some of them, but not all of them. I'm going to just do that really quick. And this just gives some variety to your tail or your fin. All right. Okay, so I have a couple, and then what I'm going to do is actually glue these on the inside of my paper roll. So on the inside where my tail is, I actually want to glue them on the inside of here. So I like to actually glue the paper because it's hard to get your glue stick in there. If you're using tape, it's easier to put the tape down and then glue it. So then I like to press my fingers in there really good. And it can be any order or pattern that you want. So these were the colors that I chose to use. You can use any colors that you like, and they can all be different colors if you make more than one. And if you only have white paper, then this is where you can get creative. You can actually draw your own colors or draw your own patterns on your white paper. So there's no limit to what these can look like. And again, I'm just pressing my fingers really good in there. And I want to go all the way around the rim, so I make sure that I'm covering the whole thing. And I'm kind of sticking to the same pattern that I did when I was putting down the scales, which is orange, red, this light purple. But it doesn't have to be any pattern. Alright, again, I'm gluing the top. You can also use tape if you don't have glue. I'm just going to add a few more in here. And so like I had mentioned before, these are Koinobori fish. So they are traditional Japanese carp fish. And so these symbolize strength, courage, and they put these flags up, these flags of these colorful fish up all around Japan in gardens and areas by ponds, and to represent Children's Day, which is May 5th. And that is to send their children off to be strong, independent individuals. And so that's what we're going to be making today. Well, they also look cool. They also represent something really great for our kids. So while we're all quarantining, this is a good project to do, to bring some color to your yard, and also remember that you are also a kid and you are strong as well. So just a little background on that. Alright, and so now I have my fins, and that's okay if one falls out. You can just re-glue it, make sure it's on there really good. Alright, and so I have my fun little fin. So we're almost done. So we got some really cool tails. Again, I have some sort of fun patterns, some straight ones. And we're almost done. So now we need to add the string so they can be flying and on something else. So I have a hole punch, so I'm going to make these small holes on the top by the eyes. If you don't have a hole punch, you can tape your string on the inside. You can staple your string to the sides. You can also use a thumbtack to create small holes for your string or yarn. So there's lots of options here. Like I said, I'm going to make 2 small holes, and I do it towards the eyes because I know that that's about even on both sides. And I'm doing them pretty close to the top here. And I'm going to take my string. So I make it kind of long so they can hang down a little bit, and I have some excess string for tying the knots, but it doesn't have to be this long. And again, it can be any color. I just have this yellow fun yarn. And I'm just going to create some knots. I like to do 3 to make sure it stays on really good. And I'm going to cut this excess off. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. And again, I'm just making knots. I do 3. Make sure it's really good. I cut this excess off. And we have your flying Koinobori fish. And so now you can put these on a stick and wave them around. You can put them on a tree outside, and so then they can wave in the wind, which is what I'm going to do with all of these ones. Once it stops raining outside, I'm going to take them all outside and put them on a tree, and so then they can all wave in the wind. But you can put them on a flagpole, you can put them on a stick, a dowel, whatever you would like. So one more thing before we're done, we got to clean up. So we want to make sure that our scraps, the stuff that isn't usable, we want to toss. So any of these excess from our cutting our circles, I'm going to toss. I have a garbage can down here. If I have extra pieces of paper that I know I could use because it's still a good amount, I'm going to put that. My glue stick has its cap on. My marker has a cap on. And when my space looks as good as it was, then I can call it done. And so now I can play and fly around my Koinobori fish. Again, a representation of courage, strength, and something for our kids to send them off and to be positive and strong individuals. So thank you for watching our today's Cap at Home tutorial. Make sure to watch the rest of our Cap at Home videos for more fun art projects. Thanks, guys.